If money has ever made you feel ashamed, anxious, behind, or strangely guilty, this is not because you're bad with money, it's because somewhere along the way, money stopped being a tool and became a mirror. And that mirror has been reflecting fear, pressure, identity, and self-worth back at you for years. That's why smart people still struggle with money, not because they don't know enough, but because knowledge doesn't automatically heal behavior. You can watch every video on money management for beginners, memorize budgeting strategies that work, even understand compound interest explained simply, and still sabotage your future the moment stress hits. So if you've ever asked yourself how to change your relationship with money, this is where the real answer begins. Because financial freedom is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about who you become when money enters the room. Most people think they have a money problem, but what they really have is a money identity problem. They think the issue is income or inflation or bad luck or the fact that life is expensive. And yes, those things matter, but beneath all of that, there is something deeper. There is a story, a script, a private emotional pattern that quietly runs in the background every time they earn, spend, save, invest, or avoid. Your financial habits are not random. They are the visible expression of invisible beliefs. If you grew up hearing that money is hard to keep, you may unconsciously spend it before it leaves you. If you were taught that rich people are greedy, you may feel guilty for wanting more. If money caused stress in your home, your nervous system may still react to bills like they are a danger, not decisions. This is wealth psychology explained in the simplest way possible. Money behavior is often emotional before it is logical, and identity shapes behavior far more than intention does. That's why two people can earn the same amount and end up in completely different financial realities. One uses money to buy temporary relief. The other uses money to build long-term stability. One says, "I deserve this," every time they feel deprived. The other says, "I'm building something bigger than this moment." Same paycheck, different identity. And when you understand that, you stop asking, "What app should I use?" and start asking better questions, like, "Who am I when I feel powerless around money? Who am I trying to become? And what kind of person would handle money differently than I do right now?" That is the beginning of a real money mindset shift, not surface-level positivity, not pretending everything is fine, a genuine internal shift in how you think, feel, and act around money. To understand this, let's talk about financial personality types, because once you see yourself in one of these patterns, things start to click in a way that numbers alone never could. The first is the survivor. The survivor lives in constant alert mode. Even when things are okay, they don't feel okay. They spend from fear, save from fear, and sometimes hoard from fear. They may buy things impulsively because deep down they've learned that comfort now feels safer than security later. Or they may refuse to invest because losing money feels emotionally unbearable. The survivor is not irresponsible. The survivor is exhausted. Their money decisions are shaped by scarcity, not stupidity. Then there's the avoider. The avoider doesn't want to look. Bank apps get ignored, credit card statements sit unopened, financial conversations feel heavy, confusing, or shame-filled, so they disappear into the background until a crisis drags them back into focus. The avoider often says things like, "I'm just not a money person," but that's rarely true. More often, there's someone who has emotionally disconnected from money because it makes them feel inadequate. Avoidance becomes self-protection, but over time, it becomes expensive self-protection. Then you have the status builder. This person uses money to communicate value, success, or worth. They may not even realize it at first. They just know they feel more confident when they look successful. Better car, better clothes, better phone, better vacations, better image. The pain for the status builder is not just financial, it's emotional. Because under that pattern is often a deep fear of being overlooked, underestimated, or left behind. Social comparison pressure becomes a silent tax on their future. They're not just buying objects, they are buying identity, approval, and temporary relief from insecurity. And that's why emotional spending control becomes so important, because if you don't understand the emotion beneath the purchase, no budget will save you. And finally, there is the wealth builder. The wealth builder is not perfect. They are not emotionless. They are not always high income. They are simply someone who has learned to separate self-worth from spending, urgency from importance, and desire from direction. The wealth builder thinks long-term. They understand that every dollar has a job, and that job is either to impress people, numb feelings, survive the week, or build the future. The wealth builder chooses the future more often than the average person. That is the real difference. Not a genius, not luck, not secret hacks. Repetition, intention, identity. The habits of financially successful people usually look boring from the outside, but from the inside, they are powerful because they are rooted in who the person has decided to become. Now here's where things get even more important. Most financial mistakes do not happen when people are calm, clear, and grounded. They happen at financial flashpoints. A flashpoint is that emotional moment when logic steps aside and something deeper takes over. Stress spending is a flashpoint. You had a long week, you feel drained, you tell yourself you need a reward, and suddenly money becomes emotional medicine. Emotional shopping is a flashpoint. You're not buying because you need something, you're buying because you need to feel something. Fear of scarcity is a flashpoint. You see your savings dip, and instantly your mind goes into panic mode, even if the situation is manageable. Social comparison is a flashpoint. You open your phone, and in 30 seconds, you feel poorer, slower, and more behind than you did before.
This is why people repeat the same money mistakes, emotionally, not logically. The logic is often already there. Most people know that constantly carrying consumer debt is harmful. Most people know saving matters. Most people know investing for beginner's mindset is supposed to focus on patience, consistency, and long-term thinking. But knowing is not the same as being able to execute under emotional pressure. That's the real battlefield. Financial psychology is not just about what you know when you're calm, it's about what you do when you're triggered. The person who says, "I'll start next month, every month," is usually not lazy. They're trapped in a cycle where money has become emotionally loaded and every decision feels heavier than it should. Think about how many people stay broke, not because they never had chances, but because every chance was filtered through old fear. That's one of the harsh truths behind why people stay broke. Sometimes the external problem is real, but the internal pattern keeps turning temporary setbacks into permanent cycles. A raise comes in and lifestyle pressure rises with it. A bonus arrives and disappears into impulse spending. A market dip happens and panic overrides the plan. This is why the poor versus the rich mindset, explained properly, is not about one group being morally better than another. It's about whether a person sees money as something to consume for identity, escape, and emotion, or as something to direct with clarity, discipline, and patience. And this is where the biggest shift happens. You do not change your money life only by tracking money. You change it by changing who you are with money. That's the sentence I need you to really hear, because people often try to change behavior without changing identity, and that never lasts. They create a budget while still seeing themselves as chaotic. They start saving while still believing they are always behind. They want to invest while still identifying as someone who is bad with numbers or late to the game. And then the old identity quietly pulls them back. If you want a true financial freedom mindset, you have to ask a different question. Not just, what should I do? But what would a financially free version of me do daily? How would that person speak about money? How would they respond to stress? What would they normalize that I currently resist? Identity-based financial goals change everything. Instead of saying, "I want to save more," you say, "I am becoming someone who keeps promises to my future self." Instead of saying, "I need to stop wasting money," you say, "I am becoming someone who spends with intention." Instead of saying, "I hope I can invest one day," you say, "I am learning to think like a long-term owner, not just a short-term consumer." That is how to build wealth from nothing for many people. Not from some dramatic overnight breakthrough, but from a slow internal rebuild where your actions begin to match a stronger identity.
And yes, practical systems still matter. Transformation without structure becomes motivation theater. So let's make this real. The first phase is awareness. Before you try to fix spending, study it. For the next 30 days, don't just track what you buy, track what you feel before you buy. Were you anxious, bored, lonely, tired, insecure, pressured, celebratory? Start connecting spending to emotion. This is the psychology of money habits in real time. Once you see the emotional pattern, you stop seeing yourself as random. You start seeing yourself as readable. And once behavior becomes readable, it becomes changeable. The second phase is reprogramming. This is where you interrupt the old loop. Give your impulses a pause. Create a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Unfollow accounts that trigger status pressure. Automate one savings transfer, even if it's small, so discipline doesn't depend on mood. Rename your savings account something emotionally meaningful, like Freedom Fund or Future Peace. Replace the dopamine of spending with the pride of self-trust. This is where financial discipline habits are built, not through punishment, but through repetition that teaches your brain a new normal. Real discipline is not harshness, it is self-respect in action. The third phase is growth. This is where saving stops being the final goal and starts becoming the foundation. Because if you only save, inflation quietly eats away at your effort. Growth means learning to let money work with you over time. It means understanding long-term wealth-building strategies without making it complicated. It means learning that investing is not a casino when done with patience and education. It means respecting risk, starting small, and thinking in decades rather than drama. If you've ever needed compound interest explained simply, here it is. Small, consistent actions repeated over a long period can create outcomes that look dramatic later, even though they felt ordinary in the beginning. That's not magic. That's time rewarding discipline.
This is why any real financial independence roadmap has to include both behavior and psychology. You need a plan for cash flow, yes. You need saving, yes. You need education around investing, yes. But you also need emotional maturity. Because money management for beginners is not just about categories and percentages. It is about learning how to hold discomfort without escaping into self-sabotage. It is about being able to delay gratification without feeling deprived. It is about creating a life where your peace is not purchased at the cost of your future. And maybe this is the most inspiring part of all. Financial freedom does not begin the day you have enough money. It begins the day you stop acting like your current emotions are in charge of your future. It begins when discipline becomes stronger than image, when consistency becomes more important than excitement, when you stop asking for money to prove your worth and start asking for it to support your values. That is the true financial transformation journey. Not just more income, but more emotional stability. Not just more assets, but more self-command. A lot of people think higher income automatically solves money stress, but that's not always true. Income can help, absolutely, but if identity stays the same, the pattern often scales with the paycheck. More money simply gives old habits a bigger stage. That's why discipline beats income in the long run so often, and consistency beats motivation, because motivation disappears the moment life gets inconvenient, but identity remains. A person who sees themselves as a builder behaves differently from a person who sees themselves as a victim of every circumstance. This is the core of a money mindset shift that actually lasts. So when people search for personal finance tips 2026, what they often really want is relief. They want a method that finally sticks. They want to know why they keep repeating patterns they swore they would outgrow. They want to understand how to change your relationship with money in a way that feels human, not mechanical. And the answer is this: stop trying to force perfect behavior from an identity that still expects chaos. Build the identity first. Reinforce it daily. Let your actions become evidence. Let your evidence become confidence. Let your confidence become a new standard.
The truth is, the wealthy mindset is not about never feeling fear. It is about not letting fear make every decision. It is not about never wanting nice things. It is about not needing purchases to create self-worth. It is not about obsessing over every dollar. It is about giving every dollar direction so your life stops drifting. That is the financial freedom mindset in practice. Quiet, intentional, repeated, strong. So if you feel behind, let this be the part where you stop turning that feeling into a financial identity.
You are not your past mistakes. You are not your family's limitations. You are not the stress patterns you learned in survival mode. You are a person capable of building a new relationship with money, one decision at a time. And those decisions matter more than you think. One purchase delayed, one account automated, one impulse questioned, one comparison was ignored, one investment started, 1 month of consistency, 1 year of self-respect. That is how lives change. That is how wealth begins, quietly, before anyone else can see it. Because in the end, financial freedom is a psychological shift before it becomes a financial reality. It is the moment you stop living from fear and start living from design. It is the day you decide that the future version of you deserves more than leftovers. It is the willingness to become the kind of person who protects peace, builds options, and chooses long-term freedom over short-term relief. And if this message hit you personally, if something in you knows it is time to stop surviving money and start mastering it, then I want you to do one simple thing. Go to the comments and write, "I am becoming financially free." Not because a comment changes your life overnight, but because identity grows when you declare it, repeat it, and live it. And that one sentence might be the first honest step into a completely new chapter.
Hit that like button if this message resonates with you. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. This channel is still growing, and we're truly appealing to you to support us by subscribing to the channel for full, powerful finance and wealth-building videos. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our future content. Drop your comments and questions below. We'd really love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this channel.